You know, it's really funny to me how today I went to church and I got kicked out of church during communion because I was sexually assaulted back in the past when there was a human trafficker running around. And the church, First Baptist Church at the Mall of Lakeland, Florida, don't go, you're gonna regret it, came up to me while I was there with my girlfriend and said that I was trespassed on that property. Well, first off, I had never been notified of that. So this was a first, and I go there every Sunday and Wednesday night. And this is the first. So, and this incident happened over 5 years ago. So, they trespassed me, Megan, and a bunch of other people that fell victim to this man. They trespassed the victims. They trespassed him too, but they trespassed the victims. Said the victims are not allowed to be there anymore. Tell me how that makes sense. And then on top of that, you're gonna say it as loud as you did? No, you should pull me aside. Don't say it right there in front of everybody. Pull me aside and say something, and we can handle this like men. No, you want to be like a child. Okay. Well, I'm not the person you have to deal with about this. You got to deal with God about it. And just so you know, the people that fall victim to a sexual human trafficker, you should be welcoming them in with open arms, doing what you can to help them to cope. I still deal with night terrors because of this. I still wake up in the middle of the night screaming my head off because I've had a bad dream about it. May not be every night, but every now and again it does happen. Earlier today I took a nap after all of this happened, and I had to walk all the way back home for 2 hours just so I could get back home for this. And I had a night terror because of it. And I haven't stopped crying all day because that's how bad of an effect that this incident had on my life. And First Baptist Church at the Mall of Lakeland, Florida, I want you to know you were the cause for my PTSD returning. I had it under control. I was doing great. I haven't had an incident in quite a few weeks. But because of you today, you brought that back up. Not only that, you are what is causing me to lose the girl that I've worked so hard to keep. Somebody that I really started to fall in love with. And Rose, if you're watching this, I haven't lied to you. I told you exactly what happened in my past. I just haven't gotten around to telling you this yet because this is kind of a little bit more important. They call it divergent. I just hope that you'll let me tell you about it. I was going to tell you at some point in time. I just didn't think, after us only talking for about a week, I didn't think it was time yet. That's not something you come out on a first date, you know. But I miss you, and I hope you'll come back. I really miss you, and I really care a lot about you. You know the real me. You've spent time with me. You've talked to me. You know who I am. And if you're going to listen to them and judge me because they're judging me, that's one thing. Come spend time with me for yourself if you want to judge me, people. Because my past is not who I am. It doesn't define me. Just like your past doesn't define you. His past doesn't define him. Her past doesn't define her. Nobody's past defines who they are. If you want to judge somebody, go spend time with that person and then make a judgment call on it. Because you don't know who that person is. People change. People are not always the same. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for 100 years. People change. People make something of themselves out of nothing. I've met homeless people who, were absolutely terrible people. But today, they're some of the biggest Christians I know, and they will welcome you with open arms. They will give you their last penny, if that's what it takes. They are humble. They are diligent. They are obedient to God. And you know what? For a church trespassing victims of a human trafficker, you're pretty sad. You shouldn't even call yourself a church because you're defiling the name of God And quite frankly, that breaks my heart that you're going to do that to the house of God. You're going to act that way towards the house of God when the Bible specifically tells us that we are to open these people, or open our doors to these people, open our hearts to these people, bring them in, do what we must to help them and to make them feel safe, to let them know that we're there for them. People have let me know this over the past. And because I've been through it, I open myself to other people who have been through it because I can relate. No, this church sat there and acted like I stood there and said, yes, please, rape me, sexually assault me. Oh, yes, please. No. I was terrified. Honestly, I thought I was going to die that night. There are police reports out on this man. This man is in prison now because he was convicted of it. He was found guilty. And I still suffer from what happened. So do countless others. So if you're going to judge somebody, why don't you look at yourself in the mirror first and find out what can be judged about you. Figure out who the real judge should be. Because I can tell you right now, it's not you. Let God judge. All you have to do is love one another. I can't believe we live in this world. I really can't.